Hello, going through the Geometry 8.2 worksheet. Number 1, find the value of each variable in the parallelogram. Well, we know that parallelograms have all sorts of goodies going on with it. Again, according to Theorem 8.3, opposite sides are going to be congruent, or the same length. So that means a minus 3 equals 14, and that also means b plus 2 equals 7. So if I add the 3 over, a equals 17. Over here, if I subtract the 2, b equals 5. So we are applying Theorem 8.3. Now moving on to the next one. I see we have Theorem 8.3 in session here. So those opposite sides will be congruent. And we have opposite angles here congruent via Theorem 8.4. So Theorem 8.4, now we'll say that d plus 15 equals 68. So I'm going to finish this one here first. So that means d equals 53. And I'm going to switch back to green. I'm going to add 5, so that means c equals 25. So this was Theorem 8.3, and this was Theorem 8.4. Finally here, the next one. Again, looks like I got some Theorem 8.3 working, so 5q plus 4 equals 49. I'm going to subtract the 4 over. 5q equals 45. Divide by 5, and I get q equals 9. Okay, so again, that's Theorem 8.3. And then moving on here, we have opposite angles here. So that's going to be Theorem 8.4. It's going to say that 2p equals 124. Divide by 2. And p equals 62. Moving on. So we're basically applying theorems from this section to find measures here. Find the measure of the indicated angle in the parallelogram. Now we have a theorem that says if I'm looking for this guy in a parallelogram, excuse me, those two angles are supplementary. So c plus 119 equals 180. Subtract the 119 over. C equals 61. And let's put degrees on there. Okay. This one, find angle E. E is here, so again, the consecutive angles are supplementary according to Theorem 8.5. And we're going to go ahead here and say that E plus 136 equals 180. Subtract the 136 over. E equals 44 degrees. And finally, we're going to take a look at this one, find angle K. Again, these two angles are consecutive, so they'll add up to 180. Subtract 78, subtract 78. K equals 102 degrees. So again, all of these we're using Theorem 8.5 that says consecutive angles are congruent. Moving on here. Now we're looking at diagonals. Now we have a theorem, 8.6, that says a quadrilateral that's a parallelogram has diagonals that bisect each other. So remember, bisecting means this piece and that piece would be the same. this piece and this piece would be the same. So we have G plus 7 equals 15, and we have H minus 8 equals 12. If I add the 8 here in this bottom one, I get H has to be 20. If I subtract the 7 over here, I get G equals 8. Okay, over here, same thing. This is the same as that. This will be the same as that. So 4J plus 9 has to be equal to 6J minus 5. And we're going to get 7K minus 4 equals 31. I'm going to start with this bottom one here. 7K equals 35. K equals 5 after the divide step. Over here, a little more work to do. Subtract 4J from both sides. 9, 2J minus 5. Add the 5. We're running out of room here. So I get 14 equals 2J. Divide by 2J equals 7. Alrighty. Last one here. We're just going to go ahead here at MN. MN is going to be congruent to PQ. And that's theorem 8.3. I'm going to switch colors for each one here. Number 10, MN, is parallel to PQ. And the reason is definition of parallelogram. By definition, a parallelogram has opposite sides parallel. PQ. PQ is going to be congruent to QN. Oh, that was PO. Sorry about that. I gotta do some switching here. That's an O, not a Q here. So let me fix that. This is P. I gotta fix my little boo-boo here. This is PO, not PQ. And this is PO here. I mistook that O for a Q. Sorry about that. Okay, QN, and that is the diagonal theorem, which is theorem 8.6. New color. MPO's angle, MPO, so this angle here is going to be congruent to this angle here, so that's going to be angle MNO, and that's going to be opposite angles are congruent. That's theorem 8.4. Okay. Angle MQN. MQN, this angle, is going to be congruent to this angle. So that's going to be angle PQO, and that's vertical angles. Sneaking in some old stuff in here. And finally, NPO is going to be congruent to this angle here. So that's going to be NPO, and so angle PNM, and those are AIAs. So I kind of snuck some old with some new stuff there. So again, dealing with the 4 theorems, theorem 8.3 is about opposite sides being congruent. Theorem 8.4 is about opposite angles being congruent. Theorem 8.5, consecutive angles are supplementary, add up to 180. And then theorem 8.6, that the diagonals bisect each other. Good luck.